All right, quick pause, because if you've been telling yourself that you're going to figure out AI when things slow down in your business, you need to hear this. Things are not slowing down. And if you felt that low key pressure like you're falling behind, it's not because you're not capable. It's because you're super busy running your real design business and you don't have time to become the tech person that you think it requires to keep up. So here's the good news. You don't have to understand everything AI can do. You just need a clear starting point, one that begins at the very beginning and walks you through step by step in a way that makes sense for interior designers. And that is exactly why I created the AI ChatGPT Made Simple and the Claude Made Simple guides. These are practical, no overwhelm guides designed for interior designers who want to start using AI confidently and without getting lost in jargon or random tips that we all get through social media. And when I say from the beginning, I really mean it. We start with the basics like words, chat, the GPTs, chatbots, LLMs. What do these actually mean? So you can feel grounded instead of confused. Then we walk you through step by step how to create your own role-based AI assistants for your business so you can build the support that you wished you've had for decades. Think a client communication assistant, a studio manager, a marketing coordinator, a project support helper, the roles you need most. And to make it easy, I've included plug and play prompts, simple checklists, and I didn't even know I needed that, assistance for the things that eat up your time each and every week. So here's what happens when you have a plan like this. It gets so easy, you'll honestly wish you had done it sooner. I'll have one guide for ChatGPT and one guide for Claude. So you can start today with whichever tool you feel more comfortable with. And once you're comfortable, there's also a part 2 to the guide that shows you how to go deeper so you can unlock real time savings, real efficiencies, and business changing workflows that make you wonder how you ever ran your design studio without it. And guess what? Each guide is only $27. That's it. And I'll say it plainly. It will pay for itself within the first week you start implementing AI in your business. It'll pay for itself in the first hour of you using AI in your business. So if you're done feeling behind and you're ready for clear, designer-friendly starting line, grab AI Made Simple for ChatGPT or Claude Made Simple and start building your AI team. The link will be in the show notes. Don't bookmark it and forget it. Start now. Get your time back. All right, back to the episode. Welcome to the Business of Beautiful Spaces, a podcast that's specifically for interior designers and decorators. This is the podcast for designers and decorators who love creating beautiful spaces, but also know that building a profitable business is what makes it all sustainable. Hi, I'm Laura Thornton, and after nearly 30 years in the interior design industry and building a 7-figure design firm, I know firsthand how lonely it can feel running your own business. Making big decisions without a boardroom, without a business partner, or another executive team member to walk things through. That's exactly why this podcast exists. Think of me as your interior design bestie, the place you come for honest conversations, real action items, and a clear to-do list that you can apply today to move the needle forward and improve your bottom line. And if you can't get the answers you're looking for here, one-on-one mentorship with me is always available because no designer and decorator should have to figure this out alone. My goal with every episode is simple: to help you build a more profitable, confident design business and propel you into sustainable, successful future. So let's dive in. Okay, so if you've been listening for a while, you know that I love the deep dive episodes, the kind where we take one topic like pricing or procurement and we really break it down step by step. But today's episode is going to be a little bit different, and I think you're going to love it. Over the past few months, I've gotten a ton of questions from designers, the kind of questions that are so good and so real, but on their own, they don't fill or stretch into a full episode. And they might be a little too specific, or I sometimes get questions that I actually can't talk about, or I don't feel like I want to talk about on a podcast that is free to listen to because other people's clients, my clients, everybody's listening. And that's where we go deeper into the Profit Academy, where we do talk about all those things. But I still would like these questions to be part of the bigger conversation. So if there is something that you need a clear answer on, but might not need a 45-minute deep dive, this is the episode. So if you've asked me any questions and you haven't heard the answer, it could be right here, right now. So instead of forcing each one of these into its own episode, I'm going to do a thing more like a Q&A grab bag where, it's like a roundup. I'll answer the best questions that have come in so far this year and the ones that keep showing up in my inbox and my DMs and the ones I know that other designers are probably dealing with too. So yeah, think of this as the Q&A grab bag, but with a purpose. If there is an exact issue that designers are navigating right now in the real world, I want you to leave this episode with clear direction, practical language that you can use with clients, and a few smart moves that you can take this week to protect your time, your profits, and your peace. We're going to cover a mix of topics that hit the real business side of things, especially in the current market. Things like what to do when the phone goes quiet, because God knows we've had that this year, and the pipeline slows down. How to have the tariff talk and price increase conversations that were happening for the last year without losing clients, and how to respond to that dreaded double dipping accusation when you charge for procurement. What scope creep is really telling you about your pricing and your processes, what AI is actually worth is your time as a designer, and how to build that referral engine that is intentional instead of accidental. Why some small firms are quietly closing, and how to build a business that does not burn you out. Okay, so before we dive in, I want to say something that might take the pressure off if you are feeling that slow season panic right now as we move into the summer, when everybody starts going on vacation and the kids are out of school and you're not getting the answers that you're looking for and you've been ghosted and you're waiting on decisions that nobody will answer. So, or when things get really quiet, it's tempting to go straight into that hustle mode and start chasing brand new clients. But in almost every business, and especially in interior design, it is easier to create momentum with the relationships you already have than it is to start from zero with strangers. So please keep that in mind as we're going through all of these questions today. It is easier to serve the clients that you already have and they know you well than expand in any kind of scope or any kind of way that makes sense. It is easier to reactivate past clients who already trust you, who already know your process, who already know the outcome and know your value. It is easier to reach out to your referral partners who already know your work and will connect you with their friends and the right people in their world. So as we go through the questions today, I want you listening through that lens, how you can serve and nurture your current clients more intentionally, and how you can reactivate past clients, and how you can strengthen your referral partners, because those are often the fastest and healthiest path back to a full pipeline. Okay, let's jump in. The first question. Okay. So let's now talk about, what was my first question? I think I would have this ready. Okay. It is the dreaded, let's talk about when the phone stops ringing and you're like, what's happening? How am I going to deal with this? The phone goes quiet. How do we all survive that slow season without spiraling? So for decades, literally decades, it was January. January, I knew that I could get my office back in order. I'd have a whole month of like reset, and that basically everyone was getting back into the swing of things and I knew I'd have time. Well, that went away before COVID and didn't come back. So I don't have that as a seasonal downswing anymore. That doesn't exist. So I'm finding that now it's random and I'm not prepared for it when it happens. And the phone isn't ringing and people aren't wanting to do, and I get a little bit like, oh, what's happening? So take a breath. A slow season isn't something that now is predictable, but I want to give you a plan, not motivation. I don't want to pump you up and I don't want to give you falsehoods. I want to give you a plan, because when designers hit that slow season, the instinct is to panic and then start chasing brand new clients, which we all know take a long time to get into the pipeline. So yes, we are going to talk about finding, yes, new projects, but we're also going to start with the smartest way to get new projects. And that is don't spiral. And we got to normalize what's happening. This slow season happens in every single business, not just interior design. And we don't know what's going to trigger it, but at the end of the day, something did. And we want you to switch into CEO mode. CEO mode helps if I can say it. CEO mode means you stop guessing and you're going to start looking at data. Here's your first step. I want you to audit your pipeline. I want you to take and make 3 lists. List 1 is the active clients you currently have. These are the people who are paying you right now. List 2 is the warm, the people who inquired, the people who had a consult, the people who asked questions or said, not right now. List 3 is the past, your past clients, your past leads, or your past referral partners. Most designers ignore list 2 and 3 because they feel awkward about follow up. And I got to be honest, I was one of those people. And last year when things got slow, I really had to like check my ego at the door, because really it would have, now in hindsight, I look back, it was ego. And we did some really incredible things during a slow time that I would never, ever had contemplated doing, and they worked. One of them was reaching out to all our past clients saying that, we're growing and we are looking for more work. And we know that we had a fabulous time working with them. And we always know that what comes along with fabulous people is fabulous friends. And in the background, you also know that that typically means they're in the same socioeconomics as them. They probably are in the same circles. They have seen their home. And we are asking them to give us referrals. If anybody is moving, if anybody has bought their cottage or their second home, or they've moved a place to Florida, or they're retiring, or would you please mention our name? And shockingly, hundreds of emails went out, and a lot of people wrote me back saying, of course we would recommend you, and I hope you are well, and you know what, maybe we'll need to do X, Y, and Z. And these are all warm leads. They know you, they like you. Now, I have a newsletter that goes out every month, so I'm always in people's inboxes. That's another way to keep your leads warm. But if you're not, it's still a great way to get an email from you. Hope you're well. Could I schedule a call with you next week? I'd love to catch up. But also, if you have any friends that you would refer us to, I'd be happy to take their names down and their emails. And not only are you reconnecting with past clients, they love hearing from you. You never know what they might want done. And you're going to get some names of people you can outreach and call, and you'll have a connect. You can say, your friend Jane Smith was my client, and she thought maybe you might need our services. Just wanted to introduce ourselves, blah, blah, blah. So I did that. I'm shocked that I did it, but I did it. And it had a great response, and it got us through a couple of months of really lean times. I did outreach, I did mailers, I did in our building at every floor. I put up 6-foot posters with all our services, and then move them around by floor, because one will be more design based, one will be more renovation based. And we got an awesome client out of it. Awesome client. So they cost me about $1,000, and we got a client with a $400,000 invoice. So the ROI there, not too shabby. So these are things that never would have thought in a million years that I ever would have done, and never needed to. I was very blissfully unaware that I was going to have to one day look for work and pipeline, as my pipeline is getting older. My clients are getting older. And so, I've done their house. I did their house when their kids were little, and I've done their house now into retirement. And, like, people aren't doing the same things anymore. So I also had to look for a new pipeline. And these are some of the things that I did. In addition to that, I also did strategic partnerships. I reached out to realtors in high-end areas, like where my office is a really high net worth area. I reached out to strategic partnerships there. I reached out to other contractors. I reached out to people who we are in like industries, and maybe we could work together. I also worked out to lawyers, investment planners, like anything that aligned with my business. High-end net worth individuals, I was willing to do anything. So I sent letters saying what we did and how we can help their clients. And if they wanted to speak, I'd love to go for a coffee with them. And these are the things that I never in a million years thought I would have done. And it was only because of ego. I didn't think I needed to. And all of a sudden I did. So I don't know. These are something that maybe you can look at and write down for the future if you ever need them. Okay. So wow, I really went rogue there. Wow. Okay. So those are your lists. That's what you're going to do. And you're going to follow up and see, because now you've got time. And we should be doing this all the time, not just when we're looking for work. If we're nurturing these things all the time, then maybe we don't get those few months where the phone doesn't ring. But anyway, so that would be a 30-day slow season plan. You can do that regular. Like I said, the newsletter could go out once a month. Once you see what that return looks like, you could have that all the time. But once you are doing things, reaching out, you'd be surprised who they remember your name. All of a sudden it, populates that somebody at work says to them they're looking for sofas, drapery, something. I got someone, and then they give your name. Okay, so that's one way you can definitely help yourself during those slow times. Okay. All right. The other thing you can do is you got to cut the silent cash bleed. You got to look at your monthly expenses and you got to cancel or pause anything you're not actively using. All the subscriptions, the software, the storage, the services, all the things that you needed when you were busy and you don't even realize are costing you money each and every week. So make sure you get rid of those. The bleed is real. You might be double paying for something that you don't need anymore. Somebody quit, and now you're still paying for extra seats. Go through your bills, get lean, stop spending where you don't need to be spending. You're going to clean up all your receivables, any invoices that are outstanding. You're going to follow up on any deposits, and you're going to have everything lined up so you know exactly how much money is coming in. And if you have to make some cutting, then you're going to do that too. And then you're going to pick one short-term revenue goal for the next 30 days. And it's not a vague goal like I need to get more clients. Make it a measurable goal. I need to book 2 consultations, or I need to sell 3 designs for whatever the case may be. And try and lock those down. Do whatever you have to do. If it has to be an Instagram, if it has to be another email, if it needs to be like anything you need to do. We also did a thing where we were asking for any referrals, or if they had someone that we also give like a gift card if we get a referral from our clients. And you'd be surprised. And I find out when they find out, because we don't advertise it, we do send it after, they send more referrals. So I only send the gift card if they pay for the 2-hour consultation. And then it's always with a thank you. So things like that definitely help as well. Anyway, these are the things that can help you. I don't want to go too deep in the weeds, but these are things that you can start doing right now if the phone isn't ringing. But if you know that the summer is a little bit less busy for you and you're also wanting to enjoy the summer, maybe you've got little kids and you don't want to be super busy. These are things that you could be doing on your downtime so that come September, you're already lined up. You're not still slow in September and now looking into October and November before this changes. So these are the things that you can be doing right now, all the time, to keep nurturing that pipeline. Okay. So we're going to nurture our existing clients. We're going to then start maintaining them more regularly. You can send messages, you can do all the things, but at the end of the day, it's going to definitely help when you are having a little bit more of a slow time, a slow phase. Okay. What else can I was just, I unfortunately closed my page. I had my notes here and they closed on me. Of course they did. I love recording live. Yes, I do. Hang tight with me, everybody. I'm so sorry. What happened here? Come on. I just must have closed my notes. I make notes with all very good intentions to follow them, and then I let my computer kind of go quiet, and then Let's face it, running your own interior design business can feel overwhelming. But guess what? You don't have to do it alone. I am so excited to introduce a brand new way to get the support you need. One-on-one mentorship with me, Laura Thornton, your interior design bestie. In just one focused hour, we'll dive into whatever you need most, whether that's pricing strategies, client management, presentations, attracting clients, building up a repeat business, or just getting out of the hamster wheel. You'll get clarity, strategy, and expert advice based on my 28 years of running a thriving business and over the last decade, a 7-figure design firm. This is your chance to get real answers to the questions you've been dying to ask from someone who's actually been there and is currently still walking the walk. Book your session as you need it. There are no strings attached. You'll walk away with personalized, actionable advice that you can implement right away. One-on-one, 1-hour sessions as you need it. Head to the website or click the link in the show notes to book your mentorship session, and let's build a beautiful, profitable business that you've been dreaming of together. Oh, I can't see what I'm doing. Okay. I don't know what happened, so sorry, bear with me. So we had a lot of tariff conversations for the last year, like a lot. And unfortunately, well, fortunately, all of that talk has changed. Now, please keep in mind I'm Canadian. So I know we have a lot of Americans, we have a lot of people from different countries, but we're Canadian. So we would have been heavily affected by potential tariffs. My business, not at all. I am Canadian, custom made all the time, but I know a lot of people were freaking out about what it was going to look like. So thankfully, that whole conversation has changed. However, all the emails that I got from all of these suppliers, lighting suppliers, people that I visited at High Point, all put up their prices. And then I never got any email saying that it was going to go back. So I'm not sure what's happened here, but someone needs to adjust something because now I'll never use you if you are going to start using this as a tool to increase your profits and gouge people, because that literally is what you're doing. But thankfully, this question came in a lot and we did touch on it a few times on the podcast. But thankfully, that has now subsided, that they were not legal, blah, blah, blah. And it hasn't, it's not going to happen. But I have not received anything. And if anybody else has, please let me know. So let's skip to the dreaded double dipping, because people think that when you charge for a design fee and you keep your markup or you keep the percentage that retail place is giving you, that's considered double dipping. And they always ask me, how could they respond? So these are two completely different things. Your design fee has nothing to do with purchasing and only has to do with being creative and strategic and like drawings, renderings, decisions, project management. The procurement margin is solely to cover your expenses, and it's supposed to be an incentive to the designer to work with said retailer. It is not supposed to be a selling feature that the client gets to keep your design. That's why it's called a designer discount, not a client discount. And that is meant to be for you. That is meant to cover your risk, your operational work, your purchasing, delivering your goods, you're managing vendors, you're fronting deposits, you're tracking orders, you're dealing with everything that goes wrong between placement and delivery. And they are completely separate services. They are not one and the same. And one shouldn't coincide with the other. Like you get to use an interior designer because you get their discounts. I don't know who did this disservice to us decades ago, but I hope they were met at the pearly gates, because that is not cool. What you've done there is not cool. You set all of us up for generations of having to explain that I haven't got asked in a long time, and that's the truth. But I always say I do not share my discounts. Those are what keeps the lights on at my studio. That's what runs the paper and the ink and all the things that, that is for us to keep. We do not share our discounts. It is not a profitable business model. And this is not something I'd be able to do and have a business. So my pricing reflects my trade costs plus my procurement margin, which covers the full accountability. I carry that for every item on your project. And if something goes wrong, I will deal with it. And then you stop talking. You don't need to over explain. That is not, so if they would like to go ahead and buy it themselves, they can do that, and they can figure out the delivery, and they can figure out if it's deficient, and they can figure out if it's the wrong finish, and they can figure out, like, they're not the same thing. So to me, it's not double dipping, because it is not double dipping into the same element. You are talking about two very different services. So that is my opinion. And in fact, in addition, if you are working at retail and just keeping the margins of the discount, that also isn't a profitable business model. You also should be charging for your time to procure and deliver that item as well. Okay, so topic 4 is the scope creep, the dreaded scope creep. My client keeps adding just one more thing. How do I stop it? Okay, this is the biggest way that you are going to lose money and time. So the scope of work document that needs to be super specific should be as part of your proposal and your contract. And if something is outside of your contract, use your contract as your best friend. I say this all the time. If it's not there and you're not covered for it, then it's a very easy thing to say, well, I would love to give you a quote for that because it's not covered in our current contract. And once you approve the X amount of dollars that it's going to take for us to find that lamp for you, I'll be happy to get started on it, and I'll be happy to send you another contract because it's not currently covered. It falls outside of our current agreement. Stop talking. It's warm, it's clear, it's professional. And the honest truth, if you're silently absorbing extra requests because you want to be liked or you want them to, love you and love the outcome, and it's going to look better, of course, you are already damaging the relationship, because the resentment will show up eventually. It'll show up in your work. It'll show up in your communication, because you're like, they don't even appreciate what I'm doing, but they don't know that they're doing something that they shouldn't be doing because you never stopped it.
So for future projects, name what's going to be included, be super duper specific. Name what's excluded if that helps, because I've had to do that because you always have the client where they keep trying or they can't remember. Oh, I thought that. I have a page that says these are things are not included, but we can add these for a cost and at this rate per hour. So it makes it very clear what is included and what's not included, and they sign each page of my contract. So that's something that becomes very obvious very quickly. Okay, is AI going to replace me, and what should I do, and what should I actually be using it for, and what should I be prepared for? Okay, no, it's not going to replace you. The homeowner is using a like $5 a month visualization app. That's not your client. You don't want those people. And what AI cannot do is manage the renovation. It cannot coordinate trades. It can't drive itself yet to the tile store, the hardwood store, the wallpaper selection. It can't do any of these things. So if you had a client that just wants whatever AI can come up with, that's not the client you want anyway. So, they can't say, they can't talk to the contractor. They can't walk through the design intent. AI cannot do that. So you are not going to be replaced. It cannot navigate your vendor relationships. It cannot carry on a professional and financial liability that you can. That is your job. So you currently cannot be replaced by AI, period. AI writing tools and drafting client emails and proposals, all of those great things are amazing tools that we can use in our business, can do project updates, social media content. This is where the time savings are immediate and amazing. And you can even start using visualization tools like Midjourney for faster concept imagery. We use ChatGPT for that too. It used to be before that we would have pillow fabrics in our presentations. And now I can actually put the fabric on a pillow in ChatGPT, and then now my presentations just look so much neater and cleaner and lovely. So just small things like that, but really make such a big impact, and the clients just love it. And when it used to cost me, because we used to outsource all of our renderings, um, it used to cost me a lot. So I would only do like maybe 2 views, 2 different rooms. But now it's so easy to put a photograph in, like a photo from your phone of a client's house, and then say remove all the furniture and put in that room with some drapery and the light color that you pick from bedroom, and it can do it. So you can get some good bones just for your client to be able to see how the difference the paint will make. And my point of this is saying that every time I had a rendering of a certain room, there was never going to be any revisions because they could see it and they loved it. And all the rooms that didn't have the renderings, of course, there were tons. And I was like, okay, so as soon as I could put this together, I realized the more renderings I can get, the less amount of revisions I'm going to have, which means I'm more profitable. So that's what we do. And so now it's made it a little bit easier. The client can see. So these are all things that you can use immediately that actually are going to help your business, and you don't have to worry about it taking over your job. So, and if you're not using AI yet, just start with one tool, one task, one thing, and see, even if it's just finessing some emails that you do all the time over and over and over, see how much that saves you time in the next 30 days. Okay, so we're going to build a referral engine. I do good work, but clients don't seem to refer me. What am I missing? Great question. Almost always one of 3 things. Clients don't know how to describe what you do. A lot of people don't know what interior designers do, and that is the truth. They haven't been prompted to refer you at the right moment, or they don't know who to refer you to. So there's lots of things you can do here. One, I highly recommend at the end of every project sending your client, which is scary. I know you're going to be like, "Eesh, I don't want to do that," and I didn't either. But I send my clients a survey, and I ask them very specific questions. And then at the end, it said, "Would you write us a review?" And a lot of them will. And you can also ask them to do a Google review if you're wanting to help your SEO. Pardon me. I have been talking a lot today. I'm sorry. So, long story short, get them to write down the things that they liked about your process or the things that they didn't like about their process. So, 2 things. One, it's hard to hear, but you're learning and you're going to make your process better. But B, at the end, usually they're very happy. And would you refer us to your friends? is a question. And they 99% of the time say yes. And I had one person who didn't answer it at all, which was scary. And could you name two people, two email addresses would you supply so we can reach out to them and tell them about our services? So there's a great way to do that right there. They don't have to answer. Some do, some don't. Excuse me. Okay. So that's the best moment to ask for a referral right after installation. Their emotions are running high. They've loved what you've done. Um, they're usually still getting settled. And once in a blue moon, there could be a deficiency after, but that's after. So nail this down and send this out when they are like riding the high of like, we love you. The I love you mans are out. Oh my God, I can't believe you did this. That's the best time. That's the best time to ask for a referral. Now, trade referrals, meaning builders, realtor, architects, you can lead with what you do anytime. I don't find emails are working. I know I get them a million a day, I feel like, and I ignore them. I don't even open them. I just delete them. So that's a waste of time. But people do open mail because we get a lot less mail. We get a lot of flyers, we get a lot of crap. But if there is a stamp and my name and my address, I am opening that piece of mail. So if I can position you in any which way to not waste your money, but yes, it's going to cost you a little bit more for stamps, I think that's a much better way to get the attention of your strategic partnerships. Okay. We're seeing a lot of small designers quietly go out of business or go back to work for somebody else. And what is separating the ones who survive? Okay. So, I mean, there's always situations that we don't know of, but at the end of the day, it always boils down to profits and money. They don't know how to make money. It is the most common thing that I get DM'd. It's the most common thing that I talk about in mentorship. People do not know how to make money. And I can't blame anybody. We were never taught how to make money. And, you might see a number and you might think that you're making $150 an hour, but if you don't know how to break it all down, you actually aren't. And that seemingly is the number one reason I speak to people and other designers and decorators on my mentorship, but also it's common when I go to, I feel like I'm the girl that everyone wants to talk to about this, and I love talking about money, and I love talking about business, and I love talking about how to make money in business. So it's a great combination. But if I go to an event, I 9 times out of 10 end up talking with somebody who then says to me, "I listened to your podcast, and I would love to know more about how to make more money." And they always ask me a question about how I bill. Like, I'm not joking, over 90%. And I'm always very open and forthcoming. I love sharing and I want every designer and decorator to make money. And people are shocked every time. So unfortunately, uncomfortable talking about money and not knowing their numbers is where a lot of designers fall flat. And our industry does not have a talent problem. There are many super duper talented designers, but it's a business literacy problem. And it's not just our industry. I belong to an organization with other entrepreneurs, and it's there too. So, and again, I have been in the room with some really what we would consider successful, fabulous designers to find out they are not profitable. They would be making more probably working for somebody else because we all know we work a lot of hours. So, I mean, there's obviously other situations. Some people, it's, just timing, there's lots of other reasons, but for me and the questions that I get the most, it's very clear that that is the one. If you're not making money, how many years can you keep doing the same thing? We just closed the doors on the Profit Academy, and that was, the biggest thing for me is every time people reach out to me with questions about it, and well, I've been 5 years and I haven't made money. 5 years and not making money is a hobby. It's not a job. It's not a career, and you cannot keep doing the same thing. How many more years are you going to do the same thing that isn't working? And this is why investing in yourself and in your business is so important. And it was very hard to find information 25 years ago, but it's not anymore. There's lots of us designers out there who have figured it out and who are doing it and who are willing to share. So find someone that you connect with and invest in your business. Because if this is you that's listening, you got to be making money. You have to be making money. Otherwise, you are not running a business. Profits is what equals food, heating, retirement, gas in your car. You can't be working for free. That now turns into the next question, which is I love design, but I started dreading Mondays because I'm burnt out. How do I stop this? So, and that's exactly it. If you're not making money and you're running you're busy, you're super busy and you're super booked, but you're super broke and you're just not making enough, like, or you're just getting by, you're going to get burnt out. And then you're going to have resentment. And then you're not being creative because everything starts to fall flat. And then you start making mistakes. And these are all the things that are starting to feel like a chore. And it's not a bad project problem, it's burnout. And it's a structure problem, it's a process problem, not a personal one. So the conditions that most likely reliably kill the design love, I guess, if you will, are wrong clients, undercharging, and they're resenting the work. You're not creative anymore because the budgets are too tight and the administrative overwhelm is leaving absolutely no time for anything else. And before you make any big decisions about your career, you really have to ask some honest questions. Are you disillusioned with design? Because once you go into business for yourself, you are no longer designing 100% of the time because you're running a business. So you need to be okay with it also having all of those other tasks that are not design oriented, that are running the business, the CEO tasks. And once you're okay with at least 50-50, are you disillusioned with the design or are you disillusioned with the way that you're currently practicing it? Two very different problems, two very different solutions. Um, One is setting limits with your clients, limit with your communication and do it early and very professionally right from the beginning of every project. And the most effective approach is structure. You need processes in your business, you need limits, and you need boundaries when you're onboarding with your process right from the very beginning, not an emotional conversation. And you talk about money upfront and right off the bat and get very comfortable with your numbers, and you're going to define your communication hours, and you're going to set scheduled check-in calls rather than reacting or responding to havoc. And a lot of these new, they're not new, but a lot of these tasks and tools that we can use, like Design Docs, Studio Designer, even Asanas, all these tools that we can use have client portals, or they can see their project status without needing to text you. However, I'm a firm believer in making the process as simple as possible. And even though I know those exist, it is still really useful to you being proactive with your client and sending them emails, even if it's we're on schedule, everything's great. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Otherwise, I'll be in touch next week. They love that. They feel like you have it handled and they don't have to worry about going into a portal to see what you did this week. So these are a few of the questions that came in. It was easier and useful to answer them this way. It didn't take up a whole episode with just these questions, but I hope that these connected for you, and I hope that you feel a little bit of ease about it, because these were important things that kept coming up. But our industry is changing all the time, so these are things that definitely might affect some and might not affect others. Somebody else is like, I'm so busy, I can't believe someone's saying it's slow. Well, that's amazing. I'm so happy for you. That is incredible. But there's others that are not. So I think the one big thing I learned with being slow last year for the first time in my life was that you need to nurture it all the time. So if the phone is quiet right now, it's not a spiral. Let's just get strategic and do it constantly so you're not behind the eight ball when it does get slow. Okay. I hope this episode you resonated with in some way. And if you liked this, let me know. If you have any questions, let me know, because I don't mind gathering up questions and doing something like this again in the future. If it answers some questions that people have, it makes me very happy to help you out. So I hope you all have a great week. And we will see you here next Monday. Bye for now.